Hello Space Cat, I'm Jules, an illustrator living on an island off the south coast of England. I spend my mornings in my cosy studio and the afternoons baking sourdough and yummy cakes at home. And hanging out with my furry friends. Of course, tea from a proper pot is essential, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, you grab a cup and I'll pour. Hello Space Cats, I have just arrived in my studio for work today, and for some unknown reason it's like the Russian roulette of fatigue. I am full of beans today, so I don't know how long those beans are going to last, probably not all day before I get to lunchtime and feel I need to be face down in a pillow. So I'm going to get stuff done this morning. First thing I need to do is tidy up this hideous mess and open up my windows. Okay, well, I think I'm satisfied. That's a whole lot better, apart from my camera case on the floor. Things are nice and tidy now. Hooray! Ooh, peanut butter for breakfast. I've got a bunch of things I need to get done this morning. I've got to go and pay a bill in town for the Story Festival room hire, so that needs to be done first. And then I need to come back and edit some stuff that I filmed yesterday. That was this picture. Anyway, that's the plan for today, before the beans run out. Over these last few weeks, I have embraced the gouache and the sharp pencil. I brought myself a mechanical sharpener this week, and I can be found at random times making a zzz noise as I make yet another pencil pointy. Side note, the Inktense pencils don't fit in the hole, so I'm having to do those with a Stanley knife. As you can see, this is not a totally flat colour. I am doing a little bit of mixing, more so than when I use watercolours. Actually, I found it's quite a different process. When I use watercolour, I tend to mix on the paper, which I know will totally horrify some people, but it works for me. And I also hold the end of my brush right down the end away from the bristles, because I like the process and the materials to be in charge, and I am just the conduit. However, with gouache, I find that I have to be much more precise and follow the pencil lines. Well, I haven't been doing that since I was at primary school, and even then I was a rebel and sometimes didn't stay in the lines. Yeah, setting myself up for a life of anarchy. So there's a bit of mixing on the palette to get roughly the right vibe, and then a bit on the paper before the pigment dries. All those funky little details are going to happen with the aforementioned sharp pencils. The other thing that I've discovered is a smaller brush is often better for gouache. Again, the opposite of what I use for watercolour. It's quite exciting creatively to find out these antitheses. It's currently the beginning of October, so officially Pumpkin Month. People in the US, I want you to know something and feel pity for us in the UK. Nowhere, I repeat, nowhere sells tinned pumpkin. I know. I see a lot of pumpkin spice biscuits and cakes and muffin recipes, and even bread being made after opening a tin of pumpkin puree. And what we have to do is buy a pumpkin, de-seed it, roast it and scoop it to get to the same goal. One of my most fave pumpkins is the Blue Prince, the one on the far left of my picture. It really does have that sort of chalky blue skin, but when you open it up, it's a real vibrant orange and they taste amazing. I've managed to grow a few jack-o'-lanterns this year for carving up for Halloween. And when the fruit started to set back in May, I put a Ziploc bag around the little teeny tiny fruit and secured it to the stalk so that the slugs couldn't eat them overnight while they were still really soft. It worked well, and I'm pleased to say it only needed really protection for about 7 to 10 days before the skins were tough enough to stop the little blighters eating my crop. I also found the plants would have definitely done better in my lower raised bed because it's warmer there and the sun's on it most of the day. So that is where they're going to go next year. I also had a fantastic apple year. We have a French golden delicious apple tree in a really large pot, and every year it has produced these pathetic little apples. Last year they were about the size of a conker, and some sneaky little creature ate them all anyway. I suspect it was that rat that was living under my old studio. But this year I made a huge effort to give the pot a big watering can of water most days, and I fed it once a week. And lo and behold, this seems to be the answer, because we have 40 or so massive apples and I am making the most excellent use of them. This picture is a nod to that produce grown in my garden and the cheeky slug and his little mates that tried so hard to eat everything. Haha, slug nil, Jules won. This week has been extra hard to get things done effectively. After filming the intro that you saw at the beginning of this film, my endeavour was to make use of my extra energy beans. But my husband messaged me midway through the morning to say he was feeling really unwell, so I had to pack up and go home. Well, you may know that he has blood cancer called multiple myeloma, and he's recently, this last year, had some gruelling treatment. Well, I'm really glad I did go home because he really was very unwell. I think it was something that his immune system was not liking. Anyway, he is very much improved, I'm glad to say, and pretty much back to as normal as he can be. So today I have come in to edit and write the script and had hoped to record the voiceover, but someone outside my studio is running a generator extremely loudly, so that will have to wait until tomorrow. Side note, it is now tomorrow and it's quiet outside. But I said yesterday if he's there tomorrow, I might pull back my curtains and peer out of my window and stare at him like Paddington does when he gets upset. Ha! That'll teach him. I am loving the cosy ambiance of autumn and very happy that I can still get washing dry outside. We used to have a tumble dryer, but they are pretty expensive to run and it took up much needed space, so back to the good old methods of sunshine and wind to get stuff dried. This morning on the way to my studio, I looked for and found a conker from a horse chestnut tree that still had its casing on it. Having carefully removed the conker, I'm going to make it into a tiny teapot for the secret library project, and I'll show you when I've done it. I really do like hand lettering, and well, I think I've got a fairly recognisable style. Well, I recognise it anyway. Instead of dots over the eyes, I've made little pumpkins. Cute, eh? Please let me know if you like the picture. I have got a great idea for this year's Christmas card, which may well involve you and me getting to know each other just a little bit better. Anyway, that's for next week. For now, I'm off to practice my Paddington stare in case I need it tomorrow. Side note, I didn't. I will see you next week. Nanu nanu.